In this lecture, we are going to see how to use jQueryUI's control group widget to create themable set of input widgets. So to illustrate this, I have created a web page and I have added a couple of elements within a div element with ID group. So within this div element, I have added a select element with a number of languages as options. Then I have added 3 radio buttons like jQuery, jQueryUI and jQuery mobile. Then I have added a hyperlink with the text click here. I have added a label your age and also an input element with ID spinner, and let me add its type to be text, and after this let me put a colon, and finally I have a button as well. Okay, so now this is how our web page is looking like. This is the select element with a number of languages. Then we have 3 radio buttons, jQuery, jQueryUI and jQuery mobile. This is a hyperlink element and this is a text box, and finally this is a button. Suppose we want to create themable widgets using jQueryUI. What should we do? For this element we can use the select menu widget. For radio buttons we can use checkbox radio. If you want to make this hyperlink appear like a button, you can use the button widget. For this, as these are numbers, we can have a spinner, and for this as well you can use a button widget. So it is a bit difficult to access each item and then apply the required widgets, right? So jQueryUI offers a widget to make this whole process really easier, and that widget is control group. So how the control group widget is working is that it will select appropriate descendants based on the value of the items option and then apply the corresponding widgets to the selected descendants. So we will see the items option in a couple of seconds. So before that, let me try to use the control group widget. So as I have already mentioned, all these items are added within a div element with ID group. The control group widget will access all the appropriate descendants. So I need to access this first, and I can specify $group, that is a ID, and I just have to specify control group. And let's see the difference in the output. Let me save. Let me refresh. See, these became themable input widgets, right? But something is looking a bit odd here. Why? Because if you see the items options default values, you will understand that. Let me show you here. This is the default value of items option. So the button widget will be applied to all the specified items, that is input type button, input type submit, input type reset, then button, and also to the hyperlink element. And for this, control group label will be applied if you have an item with this class name. See, here it is clearly specified that control group label will be applied to .UI control group label. So what we can do, for our label we can add a class name like this. So let me copy this. Okay, and what is being displayed as something odd or strange? Your age. So if I add the class name for that one, that is for this class equals, let me paste it here. Okay, now let's see the difference. Let me refresh. See, here it is also looking similar to these items, that is with blue background and all, right? Then now this input element is not considered as a spinner. So if we again see the items options value, you could see spinner widget will be applied to the item with this class name, UI-spinner-input. All these are provided by jQueryUI's CSS framework. Okay, so let me copy this, and for our input element, let me add the class name to be this one, that is UI-spinner-input. Let me save this. Let me refresh. See, now you are seeing this as a spinner element, right? You can increase the value as you want, or even you can enter some value. Now suppose we don't want to make the hyperlink look like a button. What should we do? Let me copy this value. It is an object. So let me copy this. And here what I can do is this can be modified. That is, the items option can be modified as we want. So let me put it here, and being an object, it should be within curly braces, and also I can paste it here. Okay, here I think one curly brace came extra, that is why it is giving an error. And let me try to align this a bit. Okay, now I want to make hyperlinks not look like buttons. So what I can do, I can just remove it from here. Okay, and now click here is looking like a button. Let me refresh. See, it is now looking like a link itself. That is, click here. Okay, so if we want to modify, we can modify the items option as you want. If you don't want to have input type radio here, you can remove that, but it will look a bit strange. Still, to show you, let me refresh. See, radio buttons have moved to this side because they are not looking like themable input widgets. So let me make the changes undo and see the difference. Let me refresh. See, now the items are displayed like this. Suppose I want to display the items one below the other. What I can do is I can use the direction option and set its value to be vertical. So let me set the value of direction to be vertical and see the difference. Let me refresh. See, now the items are displayed one below the other. If you want to have some gap, you can have BR in between. So let me add a BR here. Okay, let me copy this, paste it here, here, and also here. And let's see the difference. Let me refresh. See, there is a gap between the elements. Okay, so these three should be considered together. So that is why I didn't put any line gap here. So in this lecture, we have seen how to use the control group widget to create themable input widgets. And it is very easy to convert different elements to different widgets. You don't have to select each element and then apply the widgets. Instead, you can add all the elements within the div element and then call the control group as a method. And if you want to make some modifications to the items to be applied, then you can do it within the items option.